Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of the biggest technological transformations happening on the African continent. It's this huge shift that, believe it or not, starts with your TV, but it's really about redefining connectivity for millions and millions of people.
So that sounds like a massive question, right? But it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today. See, this is about way more than just getting a better TV picture. We're talking about a huge leap forward in digital infrastructure, and it all gets kickstarted by changing how we send and receive a simple broadcast signal. Okay, so what exactly is this digital switchover, or DSO as you'll hear it called? Well, to put it simply, it's the process of shutting down the old, fuzzy, inefficient analog TV signals we've used for decades and replacing them with these super crisp, efficient, high-capacity digital signals. The best way to think about it is like upgrading from a bumpy old country road to a massive multi-lane superhighway.
And that's why this upgrade is so important. When you see what it unlocks, it becomes obvious. This isn't just some small tweak. It is a total game changer.
You can really break down the benefits into three big things. First, just a way better viewing experience. Second, a huge expansion in the number of channels you can get. And the third one, well, that's the real prize. It's called the digital dividend, and we'll get into that in just a sec. So just look at the difference here. On one side, the analog era. Fuzzy pictures, maybe a handful of channels. But then you switch to digital and bam, crystal clear HD. Because the signal is compressed, way more channels can fit in the same space. Take Tanzania, for example. When they made the switch, the number of channels they had jumped from just 13 to over 34. I mean, that's huge. It means more room for local content, different voices, you name it.
Okay, and this is it. This is the big one. The whole reason this is about more than just TV. Because digital signals are so much more efficient, they don't need all that radio frequency space that analog used to take up. All that leftover spectrum is what we call the digital dividend. It's like discovering a whole bunch of brand new invisible highways in the sky, and they're just perfect for modern communication.
And that's why this digital dividend is so critical. You see, this leftover spectrum is the golden ticket to expanding mobile internet, especially 4G and 5G. It's perfect for reaching rural and underserved areas where it's just way too expensive to lay fiber optic cables. Unlocking this is maybe the most powerful tool there is to close Africa's digital divide.
So you'd think with a promise this big, this clear, the switch would have happened overnight, right? Well, the reality on the ground is a lot more complicated. It's been a long, bumpy road.
The original deadline for this whole thing, set by the International Telecommunication Union, was way back in 2015. Yeah, 2015. Most countries missed it. And in all the years since, the progress has been super uneven. It's created this kind of patchwork across the continent of digital haves and have-nots.
And this chart here gives you a really good idea of that patchwork I'm talking about. You've got the leaders, countries like Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. They're done. They've made the switch. Then there's this big group in the middle that are kind of stuck in between. They're running both the old analog and the new digital signals at the same time. And then you've got major players like Nigeria, where the whole process has just been hit with one delay after another.
Which brings us to the big question, right? If the benefits are so massive, why the holdup? What's stopping everyone? Well, it turns out the roadblocks are pretty significant, and they cover everything from money to politics.
It really boils down to four key hurdles. First up, money. Building all this new digital stuff is expensive. Second, and this is a really big one, is the cost of those little decoder boxes that people need to buy. Third, you've got regulatory messes and a lack of political will to just get it done. And finally, a lot of people just don't even know the switch is supposed to be happening.
Let's dig into that set-top box problem for a second, because it's the perfect example of the whole challenge. So for this whole thing to work, any house with an older TV needs one of these little decoder boxes, right? But for millions of families with low incomes, the price of that box, it's a huge barrier. It could literally mean their TV screen goes blank the day the old signal gets turned off.
So here's the bottom line. Every single delay, whether it's about funding or politics or the cost of those little boxes, it all leads to the same huge consequence. It keeps that amazing digital dividend, that spectrum we need for better, cheaper mobile internet, totally locked up and useless. It's holding everyone back.
But okay, the story doesn't end with the problems. The challenges are clear, sure, but so is the path forward. There's actually a pretty clear roadmap for how to get past these hurdles and finally unlock Africa's full digital potential.
And this roadmap pretty much lines up perfectly with those four big problems we just talked about. First, governments have to make freeing up that digital dividend the #1 priority, period. Next, they got to embrace smarter tech. They need to find creative ways to fund this, like public-private partnerships. And finally, and this is key, they have to get everyone in the same room working together. We're talking regulators, broadcasters, mobile companies, all of them.
And that gets us to a really smart part of the solution. We have to start thinking beyond that basic TV-only decoder box. The future is a hybrid box, one that gets the new digital TV signals, sure, but that also connects to the internet. Suddenly, that box becomes way more valuable to people, and it won't be obsolete in a couple of years.
So, at the end of the day, all of these solutions, smarter policies, better tech, everyone working together, they're all pointed at one single massive goal. And that goal is to finally get this switch done, unlock that digital dividend, and use it to kickstart a whole new era of connectivity for the entire continent. I mean, this is about so much more than just watching TV.
Look, the challenges are absolutely real, but the path to success is also incredibly clear. The digital switchover is at this critical tipping point. The only question left is, who's going to navigate these last few hurdles and win the race for Africa's digital future?